unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. I was born ready. It looks like Canelo Alvarez will not fight this September. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working well. New media is right yet again. Before I get into that, let's get into the latest. Canelo Alvarez will not fight this September, and this is what Golden Boy and Canelo had to say. As a Mexican, it is a responsibility and an honor to represent my country in both May and September. This is Canelo speaking. Those are my dates. However, as a world champion in multiple weight classes, I also have a responsibility of delivering the most exciting and competitive fights possible. That's why Golden Boy and my team have decided to postpone the date in order to do right by my fans by promoting the best fight dates possible and the best fights possible with the best opponent possible. So they're saying Canelo's gonna fight later this year. They didn't give a date. That was the press release message, and September 14th is out. Now, this is exactly what I said. Mr. I Told You So is back. I told you something was going on because there was no way, like, even if there was first of all, there was too many names that were being mentioned, and there was no rhyme or reason to those names. Meaning, you had Jaime Munguia, who was considered, this was publicly considered as a opponent. That's a 154 pounder, so I guess he would be moving up to 160, right? Then they had Golovkin, a middleweight, for a trilogy fight. Demetrius Andrade at 160, a trilogy fight where Canelo is a unified champion. Then you had Caleb Smith, who's at 168, a champion, and they talked about him being the possible foe. And then he said he hadn't heard from him. And then you had Kovalev at 175. You see what I'm saying? It's all over the place. It's guys from 54, guys from 60, one a champion, one not a champion, Andrade and Triple G, and guys at 68 who's a champion, guy at 75 who's a champion. There was no real serious direction from what it sounded like, and it sounded like a mess, and it sounded like complete and total chaos and discord, and it sounded like Golden Boy and Canelo may have had one approach, and DAZN, they had their own offerings and what they would accept. And then reports came out that they would only approve Gennady Golovkin or a fight with Kovalev. And then after, banter and weeks of alleged negotiation and Kovalev's team feeling slighted and lowballed, Kovalev's team did what I believe is right for boxing and stayed in their division, fought their mandatory, which is an undefeated puncher, and a really good fight with Anthony Yarde. And then I knew something. I was like, okay, now what is he gonna do? And I knew something was up, and this is what I told you guys. And I'm so glad Kovalev in main events decided to fight Anthony Yarde. I think that's the more reasonable fight. It makes more sense. No one's asking Canelo when there's talent at 160 and 168, and he's a champion in both of those divisions. It doesn't make sense for him to move all the way up to 175. And Kovalev's 3 for 3 in his last 6 fights. Let Kovalev get some solid wins. He got one. He avenged a bad loss to Eliter Alvarez, and he got that under his belt. Let's see him keep that upswing and that trend up and get past Anthony Yarde, then maybe consider a Canelo fight. But the timing seemed weird, and when Kovalev, by the time all this time was wasted, and Kovalev announced in main events and BT Sports and everybody announced that Kovalev Yarde was a thing in Russia, then I'm like, man, time is just dwindling down. What are they going to do? How are they going to fight second week of September? Even a star like Canelo, even if you were to do a Canelo trilogy fight with Triple G, even if he like succumbed and went with that, you're not even giving yourself enough time to promote the fight. And this is what I told you. And now you guys see why I was saying that. So your boy was right again. It's okay. You know, there's just been a mess with Canelo trying to secure an opponent. And, you know, as the A side and a person who can kind of pick and choose, having options is good, which is what I said. Having options is good, but having too many options could also be a problem because it's all over the place. And to me, this is just a really bad look for Canelo Alvarez because Canelo is, you know, the face of boxing. He just unified with Danny Jacobs. There's a lot of other great fights in boxing going on in general. You know, the UFC even has had some really good fights. So there's pressure on him to make a good fight and a fight we want to see. And he was just, you know, running out of time for September 14th. And it's just a bad look for multiple reasons. For one, Canelo Alvarez is of Mexican heritage. He fought Floyd Mayweather, and typically how you become a cash cow in boxing is to beat your successor, you know, beat the predecessor, you know, the person that was previously the man, you know, of your division or whatever, like Oscar De La Hoya when he beat Julio Cesar Chavez, like Floyd Mayweather when he beat Oscar, you know, like Pacquiao when he became, you know, he beat Oscar and people that Floyd had already beat and stuff, but he beat him impressively. You know, that's how you become a star. Canelo had that opportunity and he came up way short versus Floyd Mayweather. Yet and still, he stayed dedicated and he honed his skill and he got back on track with the victory, which is good. And he, you know, he still was a star, especially with Mayweather retiring or whatnot. And, you know, he did his own thing in his career. So he stayed a star. But normally you have to have it passed down to you through a victory, you know, and Canelo failed at that. Now it's just a lot of privileged things that are happening. And one of the reasons I think it's a bad look for him is you got to look at it. Canelo didn't beat Mayweather. Mayweather was fighting on those quote unquote Mexican dates and putting on big fights, you know, usually with big names or people coming off good wins, a lot of time with Latino or Hispanic opponents, depending on, you know, the event. Robert Guerrero, Canelo, Oscar, you know, Maidana from Argentina, those types of things. So Canelo came up short in facing him, but beyond that, he begged for the Mexican dates. Like he said, when Floyd retired, you know, he knew he didn't beat him, couldn't beat him, whatever. So when he retired, he said, these are my dates. I'm actually of Mexican heritage, unlike Floyd Mayweather. I'm Spanish speaking. These are my dates. I want these dates, right? And then, you know, being the biggest star in boxing post Floyd, he got the dates. Now you got the dates and you can't even fulfill the date. So to me, that's a bad look. So let's just a quick recap. You fought Floyd Mayweather to become the A side and lost horribly, right? Then you built yourself back up. And then when Floyd retired, you said, okay, I'm the biggest star now. I earned my stripes. I paid my dues. And I want the Mexican dates. I'm actually Mexican too. So let's work. Now you got the dates and everybody knows Canelo is supposed to fight in May and September. And then now you do this DAZN deal and it's just been, you know, looks like hectic. You know, you fought Rocky Fielding and Danny Jacobs. And even the Jacobs fight, I don't think it lived up to the hype, so to speak. You know, there wasn't much of a buildup. They were very cordial. And then the week of the fight, they started, you know, it looked like animosity out of nowhere. They were on FaceTime together laughing and kind of like jovial and smiling and stuff. And then the week of the fight, they're in each other's grill and it looked like real WWE because it's like, where's this animosity versus like a Dominic Breazeale and Deontay Wilder? The whole buildup and before you could tell the two didn't like each other. But with Jacobs and Canelo, it looked manufactured when the fight week rolled around. And all of a sudden, Canelo's getting in Jacobs' face and pushing him. And that he doesn't even act like that. The only person that I remember him even acting like that with was Gennady Golovkin. And there was clearly a level of hatred and shit talking back and forth between Abel Sanchez and Golovkin's side and Gennady Golovkin, and calling him a drug cheat and stuff like that. So I can understand why he got in Golovkin's face and they had an intense face-off, but it didn't seem real with the Jacobs fight. Then the numbers do 600,000 concurrent streams, and Canelo's supposed to fight on the quote-unquote Mexican dates. The very next fight, it has to get pushed back and postponed because he doesn't have an opponent that they can all agree to. And that, to me, I don't care what no one says. That's what this is all about. I think Canelo would have still fought on September, but the thing is, DAZN, Golden Boy, and Team Canelo, they can't agree on the opponent, and they need more time because time is of the essence, and they're cutting it close. And with, September 14th being right around the corner, they knew they didn't have enough time to promote. And this is exactly what I told y'all. I told you on the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe. And the real ones who follow my channel intently, they'll know exactly what I said. But September 14th, that's the 8th or 9th week from when I was doing them videos. And I'm like, how is that enough time to promote? Usually a fight camp on its own is 8 to 10 weeks. And they already have a press tour or a press conference already established before the fighters are sent off into their fight camps for 8 to 10 weeks. So they were clearly behind schedule. And I think this is a result of who Canelo wants to fight. He don't want to fight Golovkin. DAZN, I told you, they need a hit. They need a big fight. They need an opponent. They need somebody that is going to draw interest. That's why they're okay with, and to me, that's not a good stance for DAZN, because for me, DAZN, it looks like they're in it for the money. Like, are they in it to boost boxing or to boost their profits? Again, I understand profitability. I understand businesses. Of course, you got to make money. But Canelo, by rules, is supposed to be fighting Sergey Derevyanchenko, and a lot of people are questioning, like, is he going to fight him or is he going to vacate his belt, right? And, the Kovalev fight really doesn't make any sense. When there's apt and reasonable names at 160 and 168, why are we talking about Canelo versus Kovalev? Like, there are so many other guys at 160 and 168 that we have yet to see Canelo face their style and beat. Why we want to see him attempt to try to beat somebody who just one fight ago was considered at a crossroads fight. I'm not saying Kovalev is a bad fighter, but literally after the leader Alvarez fight, after he lost the first fight, people were like, oh, it's over. It's a wrap for Kovalev. He's not the same fighter. So why I want to see Canelo fight him, even though there's some danger, just because Kovalev can box, he has power, and it's a move up. There's a lot of danger at 160 and 168. Caleb Smith is looking like a machine. Caleb Plant is a beast. David Benavidez is a beast. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez was just at 168. And he's at 175. You could fight, so you can't fight. You could fight Kovalev at 175, but you can't fight Zurdo Ramirez on a quote unquote Mexican date. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even make sense. And then obviously Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade at 160. So it's a bad look. And see, this is why I'm saying it kind of seems like DAZN is looking at the money route. They don't feel that there's profitability as much in the Demetrius Andrade fight, right? That's what it appears. That seems like a reasonable fight. It's an in-house fight. It's easy to make. You would rather work with Top Rank, Main Events, and Kovalev and ESPN fighter in Kovalev rather than give Andrade a shot. And he's been calling out Canelo and Triple G since 54. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said, who they pick next for Canelo and what is decided. But it, to me, seems like there's some turmoil. It looks like DAZN, they want big fights and they want a certain fights, and they're paying all this money to Canelo, so they're like, nah, we need a fight, an event that's gonna match the hype. We don't want to just keep paying you 35 million, 36 million, these big bucks, and not get what we want out of the deal, which is why I believe they had to postpone this. And I mean, it goes deeper than this. The other thing is Canelo Alvarez is, the franchise champion, which is an easy way to dodge Jermall Charlo fight and not have any mandatories all of a sudden when when Jermall Charlo had done everything that he was supposed to do and required to do to become the #1 ranked person. So that's not a good look either. The fact that he became a franchise champion and it looks like he has no intentions of fighting Jermall Charlo. Meanwhile, Charlo keeps winning. He's undefeated still. He's a full champion now with the WBC. Why not push for that fight? He keeps calling out Canelo. He keeps calling out Golovkin. Even Errol Spence. I was at the fight in Houston. Errol Spence got the microphone and asked. He said, "When are you going to get a Canelo and Triple G fight? It looked like them guys don't want no smoke." So it's a lot of pressure, as I mentioned, on Canelo and Triple G and DAZN. I want to see how this all plays out. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. But it's looking like Canelo will not fight in September now. And I think the reason is obvious. They're running out of time and they don't agree on an opponent. And, there's not enough time to effectively promote it. Canelo, in this press release, he's trying to make it sound like, as a Mexican, I have a responsibility and honor to represent my country, yada, yada, yada. That's great. But, he's like, oh, yeah, I got to make the most exciting and competitive fights possible. I mean, then explain Rocky Fielding. That wasn't competitive or exciting. It was a one-way traffic exciting, but it wasn't no exciting fight. If you have to make the most competitive, exciting fights, why not fight Demetrius Andrade? He can bring that different level out of you because you guys are both skilled. Why not fight Jermall Charlo? Why not fight Caleb Smith, Zurdo Ramirez, David Benavidez? It's just all over the place. They're talking about Canelo and Jaime Munguia. I don't see that as being a big fight, especially with Jaime Munguia coming off of a bad performance with Dennis Hogan. And I think DAZN realizes this. This is why they didn't approve it. They approved Golovkin to fight him because where he's at in his career, but they're like, nah, And then, man, it goes so deep. So much has been said. Canelo also said he didn't want to fight against a Mexican fighter, a fighter of Mexican heritage. So he's going to have to go back on one of his word. He's going to have to go back and fight a Mexican fighter, even though he said he didn't want to for the rest of his career, which is bullshit. You can't pick and choose. You don't see black fighters say, oh, Deontay Wilder, I don't want to fight Anthony Joshua or Dillian White because they black. You can't do that. I don't see white fighters saying, I don't want to fight another white fighter because he white. It doesn't work like that. But, you never seen Carl Froch say, I'm not fighting George Groves because we from the same country. We were both white male. Come on. So that doesn't even make sense. So he's going to either have to go back on that and fight a Mexican fighter at some point. Another thing he might have to go back on is the Triple G fight. Even though he doesn't want to fight Triple G, DAZN may pressure him to fight Triple G because they think that's the fight that's going to help propel their app forward. So a lot of questions. I'd had to give you guys an unpack and go over it. Let me know what you guys think. We unpack. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.